Hello, and welcome back to the Home Sweet Healthy Homes podcast. Very exciting. Today we have on Rhiannon, the newest CD member of the crew. Welcome. How are you?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe, how you got into this role, a little bit about your past roles, etc.
Sure, yeah. So I had previously worked for the Quincy College, so I guess a quasi-city agency. So I'd worked at Quincy College for about 6.5, 7 years or so. For the most part in the academic advising office, and then I moved over to the workforce development office for the last few years that I was there. So a lot of the work that I was doing in the workforce development office was a lot of work with the community and our student population that needed the different agencies that the city has available. So did a lot of work with connecting students with things like the community health centers, interface social services, SNAP benefits, all that kind of stuff. We worked with a lot of the different agencies to kind of get students enrolled in school as well. And then while I was there, did some work with the city in the CARES Act funding and CDBG grants that we had from the city. So working with all those students, kind of getting them enrolled, helping them to work their way through the programs, and then working with the different agencies to place them in jobs too, which was the main purpose of that grant, was getting different community residents placed into jobs that were high need for the city. So I did that, like I said, for about 6 or 7 years, and then the last 2 years I was over at the state auditor's office under Diana DeZoglio, or Auditor DeZoglio rather, doing professional development. So a little bit different than what I had done in the past and what I'm doing here. So working in the professional development office or area over there, did a lot of work with trainings, so hoping to use a lot of that with kind of the work that I'm going to be doing here too. So had a little bit of familiarity, or I guess a decent amount of familiarity with the kind of work that community development office does here, so was kind of really excited to see that opportunity come up.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably also exciting for you to see both sides of the CDBG funds, where you mentioned that you were a recipient of those funds on your other job, and so dispersing those funds, rather now on the flip side, you're more in the role of not the recipient, but you're actually giving out those funds too.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really exciting about this role, and I think will really give me kind of a benefit here, is I can kind of see, because I'll be working with the public service agencies that are receiving the funds, I understand what the challenges and the obstacles are that they face, because that's what I was doing at the college. So I think it'll be really nice to kind of be able to anticipate what they actually need from us and what they're looking for, and kind of the challenges that they face. So when we're going looking for paperwork from them or different kind of data that we need from them, kind of being able to put myself in that position, having been there. So I think that'll be nice that I kind of have the experience of being on the other side of it as one of the, I guess, sub-recipients. So now it's just kind of learning, like you said, the other side, being on the side of the city who's kind of giving those out or kind of overseeing those grants. So
yeah, exciting.
It'll be nice to be on the other side now.
Yeah, learning both sides. So maybe we discussed it a little bit in the previous question, but what really led you to this job? Was there any certain factor that you saw and you're like, yes, definitely, I'm in, or kind of move your way and found it and thought it would be so much fun, great idea?
Yeah, so most of my career had been in higher education. Before I worked at Quincy College, I worked at another college doing academic advising and some other kind of academic work. And I had initially thought for a long time that my lifelong or my career objectives were going to be in higher ed or some sort of education administration. And then when I was working at Quincy College and I was doing the advising, and then I kind of moved into that workforce development area, I kind of realized that that was actually more of an interest to me. So I really liked working with the students, and I really liked specifically working with the students at Quincy College as opposed to the other school that I was at. Not that those students were bad or not as good or whatever. It's just I enjoyed with a population a little bit more. And it typically was because they were students that were a little bit more from kind of a blue collar background, or they were really excited to kind of get into school and they really had these plans that they wanted for themselves, and just a little bit more I guess, just involved too.
Eager.
Which was really nice. Yeah. And then once I moved into that workforce development office, I really enjoyed being involved with the community a lot more. So in the advising role, I was kind of just meeting with students all day, which was obviously great too, but didn't have as much of the involvement in the community of the city as a whole. It was really just the school itself. So once I moved into that workforce development role, that was really a role that was kind of like a liaison or a partnership between the college and then the community. So it was kind of our job to make sure that we had a presence at different community events, to make sure that we were doing outreach to students that might otherwise not know about the college or might not have the resources to come to the college. So I really enjoyed kind of doing that and meeting with populations that might otherwise not be enrolled or just not know how to do
Yeah, of
these
course.
things. So once I started doing that, I kind of realized that that was more of the work that I wanted to do. When I went to the state, working for the auditor's office, which was really great too, I quickly, within 6 months, was like, okay, this is not, I want to go back to kind of working in the city and being more involved with the community. Again, just the state on a higher level didn't have as much of that kind of day-to-day input with the community, especially the role that I was in. So I wasn't necessarily like job hunting or like, applying to a ton of places, but I saw this position come up and had worked a little bit with this office before, like I said, when I was at the college. So I kind of knew the work that the office did, and I had that familiarity with when I was at the college doing that work on the other side, and it just seemed like the perfect kind of opportunity to come back and kind of do that work again.
Yeah. And it must have been perfect because look, you're right here. And we're so excited to have you. I know it's been great. Now it's kind of been 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, like 2.5.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know.
So how have your first 2 weeks been at the office?
Yeah, it's been really good. So everyone, I tell everyone this, how friendly everyone has been, which was so nice. Makes everything, obviously, when you're starting a new job, you kind of feel like the new... I saw this meme or something that was when you start a new job, you feel like you're coming into season 4 of a TV show.
No, seriously.
So I was like, I'll kind of, you go into a new job kind of expecting that, but it really wasn't like that. Everyone was super friendly right away. Sean was really good about doing a coffee hour. We went out to lunch. But again, everyone's really friendly. The office is pretty laid back. Had some really good trainings that I'm still doing, which I know will be going on for a while. But it was nice that Sean and some of the other people that work in the office already kind of had work for me to jump right into, which was nice too. Yeah. So while I was doing those trainings, I've had other stuff to kind of start working on right away, which has been good. So yeah, it's been a really good transition. I know in September, October-ish, it seems to pick up a lot more. So it's been nice for the last 3 weeks or so. I've kind of had this time to do some of that training and get the foundations on the stuff that we're really going to be working with in the fall. So yeah, so far it's been really good.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy. I was the newest member. I was the new person. So now you took my spot, which is great. Because I've been there for a little over a year and a couple months. So it's about time. Exciting. And so as you've been meeting new people in the office, you mentioned that you've been doing some sort of trainings, catching up and learning all about flip side of the grant. How is the onboarding process specifically with your work? How's it been? Is it alike to what your learning, preferences are? I guess you want to elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah. So it's been really good. It's been a lot of stuff to do. I feel like it was pretty organized, which was really nice. So I kind of had talked to my supervisors and some other people kind of they were really good about being upfront about wanting to know how I work and how I learn things and kind of what a preferred, way of kind of learning about a new position kind of is. And I had mentioned that I really like kind of being thrown in to work to a certain extent. And just feeling like it, you can only read and retain so much content or so much information.
I agree.
Until you just are I can't keep any more of this, right? So I kind of explained that on top of that training, I would really like to be kind of able to see some of that work right away or be involved in some of it right away, which they've been really, really good about. So Sean had this nice training plan of these trainings that I was going to be doing while also doing some other stuff right away. So within the first week or so, was given the names of kind of all the contacts of the people I'll be working with, so I could introduce myself. I could start planning visits just to go see them. So be kind of doing that stuff, some different spreadsheets and numbers. So it's been nice that on top of that training, I feel like a lot of times when you go to a company or a new organization, you're just kind of for the first month or two or whatever, just kind of doing those trainings, or kind of just reading through a bunch of stuff. So it's been nice to have actual stuff to do as well. And then just to go to some different meetings and stuff. Like I met with like all you guys in the Office of the Healthy Homes, and we went over like kind of all the work that you've done. And so it's nice to kind of have a good idea of what's going on also with everyone.
Of course. No, I'm very much like you in the learning styles as well. I feel that, I can read a lot of stuff, but if I'm looking to retain and remember the information, I just might as well put it into action. It's the best and fastest way that I'll learn how to do it too. I'll do maybe like a run through of it on the paper, but then just head in and, do it in real time, which is what it's nice to hear. That's what you've been doing at the office so far. So what do you think, getting into the real nitty gritty questions here, what do you think is the most surprising fact or, I guess, part of your job, your new job that you've come to learn?
Yeah, I think, and I guess it kind of comes with any kind of, anytime you're working with another agency or an organization. So I kind of, like I had mentioned before, working at the college, kind of had an idea of obviously what the Community Development Office does, and more specifically the folks that work with the CDBG grants, because we were on that side as a recipient. And it's funny now when I think about it, I kind of remember thinking like, oh my gosh, why do they need all this paperwork? Like, why do they need to know like what this person did 3 years ago? And, very specific stuff. In the office, the community development folks were so good about being on top of that stuff. So it's funny now to be on the other side and seeing like, oh, that's why they needed that really specific info. That's why they needed all this info about this one particular student, or that's why. So it's funny now to be on the other side, and I can kind of remember being in that position being like, oh my gosh, why are they asking for this again, right? So now that I'm doing all these trainings and I'm understanding why it's so important to have all that information, I think that's been kind of interesting. So I'd say that's probably the thing, the first kind of thing I noticed was like, things started clicking, like, okay, I remember being like annoyed, like, oh, they're asking for this again, and we just sent this, and now it makes sense. Yeah,
now you're on the flip side, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if anyone says that to you, you're like, well, I actually know why, because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I can tell you, 2.5 years ago, I was in this position, and I was having the same thought, but
but trust me, it's useful, I swear.
Yeah.
So I guess now, on the flip side, is there any challenges that you maybe have run into during your first 2 weeks, 3 weeks on the job?
Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily been any challenges, which has been good. I think the closest thing to a challenge is probably just retaining all of this information.
It's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information, which I guess I was a little bit kind of surprised about that, just how detailed all the information is too, and how everything is so specific. So I wouldn't necessarily say like a challenge, but there's a lot, so I'm not nervous, but
the rules and regulations.
There's a lot of rules and regulations.
No, for sure. I don't work as closely with the CDBG as you do, but I definitely have seen the lengthy list of all the rules, and it's definitely a lot. Once you retain it all, it's not that bad, but learning is definitely pretty tough, but it's all useful information to know.
Be pinning a lot of tabs onto my browser.
Right.
Hanging things up.
Looking back and forth. So I know you're pretty new to this job, but do you have any short or long-term goals kind of formulating in your mind as you're sitting through at your desk looking through these trainings, pamphlets, whatever it may be?
Yeah, so I think, I don't know that I've developed a full long-term goal yet, and that's, I think, just because I'm still kind of getting through, like, the logistics of what the job is, but I would definitely say for short-term goals anyways, it's just really continuing the kind of relationship that the community development office has with the different public service agencies that they work
Yeah.
with. So I know it's been something that's really important to people that have been in this position before me, and that's really important to me too. So like I mentioned earlier, I've started reaching out to some of those public service agencies that we work with, just even to go to the facilities, to meet with them, to meet with the people that they serve or the community that they serve, and just really making sure that even though we're kind of, I guess, the office that's making this grant money available to them, that we're there to support them in other ways that they might need it too. So
Yeah, definitely.
we don't want to be just the people that's kind of like giving them money, but if they need help with other areas, be available, connect them with other people if they need that, and just kind of that they know that they can email us with help or anything kind of like that. So I think just continuing to build that partnership and just be available to them.
Yeah, definitely let them know that this isn't like one-stop shop. Yeah, no, for sure. Looking forward in a couple of months, I guess, what are you excited about, or what are you looking forward to, just because it is probably, as you know, coming up to like the busier season?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the process works of starting to distribute that grant fundings to the different public service agencies, and just kind of seeing how that part works. Another thing that we've talked about that I think has been done in the past as well, that I really want to move forward with or build upon, is offering trainings to the different public service agencies, whether that's to the people that work there, to the community that they serve rather. And something that I would love to do is kind of just survey them and asking kind of what they need to build out those trainings. So whether it's things like resume building or, I don't know, interviewing skills or whatever it is that they need. A lot of my background is, especially working at the college and teaching and doing training at the auditor's office, is in training. So that's something that I feel like I could at least like put out pretty quickly and not and hopefully make effective and kind of give them some more support.
Of course.
That's something I'd love to be able to do in the next few months or so.
And there's always room to learn for anything, you know, whether it's in your position, whether it's learning different areas around your position, but training is always like nice to have once a year, once a month, however often. But and so we have one last exciting question. Gonna learn a little bit more about Rhiannon. So what's a fun fact that you want to share with everyone?
So, I guess I'll give the same fun fact that I kind of always give. So, I have a really large family. So, I'm one of 6. My dad is one of 15. Got like 40, I think it's like 41 or 42 first cousins.
Wow.
A bunch of like
That's
second cousins
crazy.
I don't even know. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing that everyone's kind of always surprised by.
Yeah.
For the most part, they're all in Massachusetts, mostly on the South Shore. There's a few in Florida and a couple like in Maine, but they are, for the most part, have all stuck around the South Shore. So
can't get away.
Yeah. So it's funny, but definitely a big family.
Yeah, for sure. How many, I guess, do all of them text you on your birthday? All 40?
No, they do not. No, they don't. There's a good few that does, but I think there's just so many of them. Yeah, so it's kind of like my dad was on the younger end of that 15, so like his oldest siblings are, I don't want to say so, but his oldest siblings we don't have like a super close connection with, just because I don't know, by the time he was born they were already like moved out of the house. Like, I don't know many people that don't know what it's, I guess, don't grow up in the same house as their sibling. So I think that's always kind of interesting, but it's very close, just big age differences. And
I mean, when there's 40 of you,
right?
I guess I can assume something like that. Exciting. Well, I do have a couple of updates before we close out the episode for today. So we did attend the August Moon Festival on August 18th on Sunday. That was really exciting. We saw just around 2,000 of you. Hopefully we talked to you all. If we didn't, definitely stop us at one of our next events. As always, it's always updated on the calendar on our website, and you can catch us at the Thomas Crane Library. Additionally, on August 22nd, it was the CDBG 50th birthday, so that is really exciting milestone to hit while we are using those CDBG funds. And a little fun fact for you all: the City of Quincy and the Manic Community Health Center has been, I believe, the longest partnership using CDBG funds, which is really exciting. We just got awarded that at the annual conference back in Cambridge in June, so it was really exciting. Looking forward a little bit, we have National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week coming up in October. It's going to be the last week in October, so stay tuned for a week full of fun events. And as always, we just dropped our new pilot program, the Aging in Place, which you can find more information online. But yeah, thanks for joining the podcast today. It was so exciting to have you.
Thank you.
As always, be sure to subscribe to our email chain and be sure to give us a call if you have any questions about any of our programs, and stay tuned for the next episode. All right, have a good rest of your day, your night, whenever you're listening to this. And yeah, bye.